Hi everybody, we're about to start drawing in 10 minutes. We're doing portraits today, and I've been thinking about this since me and Phil filmed the How to Draw Portraits Part 1 video that went up this week. I've been thinking about this a lot, the idea that I would really like to make some portraits that maybe aren't as heavily processed as maybe the ones I'm doing on like a Sunday, where I'm spending these hours and hours making these pieces of work. I thought I would really like to try working quite freely and quickly, similar to how I made this work, these drawings of my mum in London. And I was like, right, I'll just gather together that palette, I'll get together those pencils, because sensible me wrote down the palette when I was in London, which I can't believe I did. But I can't find in front of me, without sort of going on a big hunt for them, I can't find the pencils that I actually took to London. So I've made a similar-esque palette. It's a little bit different, but I think there's some bits in there that I think will be really nice, like this apricot and the green ochre luminance. And then I'm missing a couple of the blues, but I've replaced them with a couple of other blues. So I've got those to one side, with the idea of using this drawing as sort of inspiration. And then after the session me and Phil did on that went up on Wednesday, the approaching that How to Draw Portraits Part 1, I made these drawings. So these are of my mum again, and these are done purely with soft pastel. And somebody, let me see if I can find it, someone asked in our Discord channel about keeping soft pastels and work from smudging. It was Moo Ping asked, and it was a great question, because normally what I do is I just put paper in between, and then actually your question, Moo Ping, really inspired me to go and think about getting some fixative. So today I have some fixative arriving from Jackson's, because I wouldn't have made these without doing that session with Phil, and I wouldn't have made them without thinking like, oh, well, I need to fixative them. And they're already smudging. I've tried to keep them. I've not really even shut the page. So they're already smudging. And so I need to put some paper in between. But I thought it might be quite nice to kind of approach some with pencils, some with soft pastel today, keeping them quite loose. The way I've structured the session, we're going to have 2 images on screen at once and have like 20 minutes, 20 minutes per slide. So then those who want a little bit longer can have a little bit longer to make one drawing. But I might try and challenge myself, and I might even write it down in front of me and stick it in front of me and say, work faster, I think just, it's not how you spell work fast, and just stick that there right in front of me, my little drawers with my soft pastels in, because I think that will be a nice reminder, because I think it's so easy to slip into a 20-minute time and be like, oh, I'm like, I've got loads of time, and then be like, and then get a bit tentative with it. So that's my plan for today. Let's see. Oh, if you've not watched one of these videos before, welcome. This is a before and after video. I'm going to share with you now my time lapse of what I make in the session, and then I'll catch up with you at the end and we'll actually see what I can do. Quite often I set myself these challenges and then I do something completely weird and different. That's just how my brain works, my creative brain works. So it'll be interesting today, because I have been thinking about this for a little while. It'll be interesting to see if this is actually what I do. But let's catch up at the end, see how we get on, and yeah, I'm looking forward to this. Hi everybody, the session's just finished. I've actually got a Jackson's order arriving imminently, so I thought I would film this and get it filmed before it arrives. I actually think I managed to stay almost on track for what I was planning on doing today and planning on working on, and what I've done is I've just filmed a tiny little Instagram story, which I've never really done before, and sort of shared the work we've made in the session. But it's quite interesting. I'm so glad I filmed this. I wasn't going to film today's session, but I think it's such a good example of like why we keep going when we're drawing and why we keep going when drawings don't go how we want them to go. So this was the last drawing I did in the session. I love this. I think it really does feel like that work that I shared at the beginning of what I did with that drawing I did of my mum. Like I think it's got, I mean, it's missing maybe a bit of the ash rose, and I did say in the live call that I can't find that ash rose pencil and I was desperate for it, because I think it's just what will lift this drawing slightly. And I suppose the composition of my mum here is different from the portraits. There's a lot more, it's a lot more relaxed and drawn from life, and I think like there's a bit of disconnect because this is a photograph and it's something a bit more static rather than her sort of leaning. So there's lots here that I think I am taking forward, but to get to this point was quite a struggle. So I started by doing the first portrait we did. I did 3 times. I really felt like I was fiddling here. It didn't have that same energy that the drawing of my mum had, so this felt very fiddly. Then I thought, well, how would I loosen up maybe some like bigger brush marks? So I went for ink, but then I thought, well, this isn't what I wanted either. And then I did this, which I think I did it in the last sort of couple of minutes. And I think it was kind of getting there, but not, it was getting there. I was like, okay, there's something in here that is working. I actually really like the way these soft lines have crossed over, and I think I'm missing a bit of that in my final drawing that I did, but I do really like that. And then we moved on to this one, which I've just laughed at so much. I laughed at during the session. Like, I did this, no, I did this, and it just looks like a fish with a nose stuck on it. Like, it's that shape of like, if you extended it, it's just going to be like a fish. It's just, no. And then I did this, and I thought I'd saved it at the end, and I said during the session, like, sometimes I find soft pastel can really block out the shape. And again, there's something in this that I do like, and there's something in it that I think links to that drawing I did of my mum, but still wasn't quite getting there. And then I nearly didn't do this drawing. It's like an under chin shot, and I was saying how difficult that is, and I nearly went and drew some of the other photographs we had for the session, which were up on Patreon, and I thought, you know what, let's give it a go. Like, you really don't want to, so I would say that now is the time to do it, because you're not going to do it by yourself. So I did this one, and I thought, actually, yeah, that is something of this is starting to come through. So then I took everything I'd learned and put it in this, and I think the only thing I've really brought into this, which I didn't talk about at the beginning, was just a little bit of the light apricot gouache, acrylic gouache, and I just used a little bit of that just to mark in some of like the cheekbone and the nose, and it's almost like the higher points, and then using it to block out where that highlight cheek light is. And I think that's worked really well. I made myself put my pencils down at the end because I was overworking, and I think this block of blue, I think it does need to be there to balance out that there's a negative space for the hair. But I think probably if I had ultimate time, I'd maybe have gone and found that blue that I'd used in here, which I was desperate for. Maybe this blue and this blue. So that's the ultra blue Holbein and the ice blue Luminance. I think if I could have found those and my ash rose Holbein, which I've used in this image, and what's the other one? The apricot. I did have the apricot Luminance, I suppose. But I love that colour palette so much. And I think if I'd been able to bring those in, I think it would have just given a warmth, which I think this is missing. But I'm really happy with this, and I think it's like a real good way of saying, like, of kind of showing, keep going with your drawings, just keep going. Like, even when stuff's going really badly and you draw a fish with a nose, keep drawing, because you don't know how many drawings you are away from doing something that is really exciting and brilliant and that you love and that feels like the next step on your journey. So keep going with your drawings. It's a really good lesson, and I'm really glad I filmed this video today. We're doing loads more portrait stuff this month, so it'll be interesting to see how that develops, and I'll share it at the end of the month. And yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you want to see more of videos like this, they're really nice. I changed the format. The format of them is always the same, so it's always a little bit before, during the session, and then a little bit after. But sometimes I'll go into more technical details. Sometimes there'll be really quick before bits just showing the palettes I'm using. Sometimes they're a bit longer towards the end, so the format's always slightly different, although the structure stays the same. So if you've enjoyed this one and you want to see more, you can find them in the collections. I'll have that linked underneath. And yeah, I'll see you next time. Thanks so much, everyone.